We had 18 months to develop a car.
Hello everyone and welcome to my educational platform. This week I am stoked to be bringing you Antonio Mainolfi. Antonio is a business coach for Bet David Consulting. For those who don't know, Valuetainment's story starts back in 2013 with its founder Patrick Bet David and has ultimately 10 years down the line now in 2023 led to a global network of some of the world's most interesting voices being interviewed. Patrick Bet David is an entrepreneur, he's a mentor, an author, and he's also extremely passionate about shaping the young generation of upcoming leaders. This interview dives into Antonio's personal journey, his vision, breathing life into it, much of it through valuetainment, and ultimately offering his experience, his advice towards the young generation of professionals and entrepreneurs. Also, I can't help but emphasize on the incredible core, innovative family values Patrick has instilled within his company. Antonio's words are a testament to that. Patrick has made sure to create an incredible environment for the people who are supporting Valuetainment. This is by no means an advertisement for the company, but I just believe that companies and organizations, firms who are displaying such core values have to be commended upon that. Antonio, I want to thank you for allocating your time to reflect upon your journey, share your thoughts, your experiences with the young generation. Hopefully, this is going to be very inspiring to you. It was to me, and I hope that you enjoy the interview. What would it mean to you if you can learn from the best in the business?
That's right. I don't think I've ever said this before. Seriously. This is gonna be fun.
Didn't have it all put together, scattered, trying to figure out next moves. Vision change and vision does evolve, but in that moment, you're just trying to, you're attracted to what makes sense in that moment.
Yep, pick the good with the bad. So it didn't upset me too much. No, I smiled.
And I'm surrounded by, first of all, people who already have a small inner circle. I'm moments, steps away from Patrick's desk. Tom Ellsworth, our expert operators. Being in this environment, you are under pressure, and diamonds, they're built under pressure.
Is it somebody has to sell you on that? Or is it going back to conditioning? Or what would it be? Is it someone selling you, or is it conditioning?
And it goes back to my original point about the family.
How do you build that culture is your question. It depends. It stems from allowing your employees, surrounding the family. We don't call ourselves employees. We're family. I'm Patrick's family. He's my family. That's who we are. And that's what I believe.
But we were having conversation in the back, and you had a chance to meet my father. You met my.
I want to thank you for doing this. I think it's going to be incredibly insightful for your journey, and it's also going to be very insightful for the company you are representing. Because at the end of the day, Valuetainment is not just a company. From what I can see, it's a family. But before going into your current role, I want to take you back like about 10 years to 2013. And I want to ask you, who was Antonio 10 years ago and what your vision for your future looked like?
Man, George, appreciate the opportunity. Absolutely. For me, man, 10 years ago, 2013, someone who didn't have it all put together, scattered, trying to figure out next moves. Vision change and vision does evolve, but in that moment, you're just trying to, you're attracted to what makes sense in that moment. Once you achieve that moment, or once you figured out that path that you're heading, you're like, man, that's not even as good as I thought it would be, or it's not what I expected. So it was always ever changing, and my passion, it changed from very short term to now thinking long term. Where am I going to be 10, 15, 20 years down the road? Instead of, hey, what am I going to do? What am I going to do tomorrow? What am I doing next week? Or, hey, this doesn't make sense now. Yeah, I'm done. Rather than, hey, I don't think it might be working now, but guess what? I know where I'm going, and I'm going to get there. So that's the biggest thing I would say is I was going from a very scattered mindset to very short, very long-term thinker.
Long-term thinker and way more specific with your goals, I can say. Like, I can see the taper as you were moving along your life's path. So how do you develop an interest in digital marketing, advisory? You had your own consultancy in leadership as well. How did that all develop to go from, like, an employee to somebody who is free? Okay.
So for me, I wasn't necessarily bought into the whole idea at first. I knew there was an opportunity. Patrick, when he moved into the neighborhood, said, "Man, there's an opportunity. I want to be part of the story." And it was a change for me to go from an entrepreneur to developing to my role as an entrepreneur. What does that mean? How does that make sense? How does it play in to who I want to be and who I want to become? And for me, the biggest by far opportunity in the area of that I'm fully focused in, I know it's going to pay off many dividends down the road, is like I just mentioned, that long-term think, that long-term opportunity, knowing I'm surrounded by, first of all, people who already have a small inner circle. I'm moments, steps away from Patrick's desk, Tom Ellsworth, our expert operators. Being in this environment, you are under pressure, and diamonds, they're built under pressure. So it's the challenge I want to take on. It's the opportunity that's right in front of me. I'm not going to let it go because, frankly, and I can say this with pure confidence, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I mean, 100%. And what I want to ask you is how, I mean, a lot of CEOs, a lot of, firm leaders, they're not close to their employees. And that's realistic. It can't happen. How did Patrick create an environment where he is so approachable to his employees within the company?
And the biggest thing, and I'll say this, many other people will, but the truth is you'll never know until you're in an environment that Patrick has cultivated. It's the culture. What has he built? How do you build that culture is your question. It depends. It stems from allowing your employees surrounding the family. We don't call ourselves employees. We're family. I'm Patrick's family. He's my family. That's who we are, and that's what I believe. So for me, once a month, and I'll give you some examples to make this make a little bit of sense here. Once a month, we're the whole company as a whole is shut down. We have an employee staff meeting. We have a family staff meeting. Everybody comes together and we go over the book of the month. It just so happens that our staff meeting is on the 20th of September and we're going over the book Atomic Habits. Everybody's sharing 3 personal takeaways, how it's going to impact or they plan to impact their life, and 3 department takeaways, how it's going to implement change their current role at Valuetainment. We come together, it's more of breaking bread, getting to know each other more on a personal basis, but it's also about being tied to the mission and the culture and what that means to us. So of course, the mission statement here at Valuetainment is to enlighten, entertain, and empower current and future leaders around the world. And if I could say that, I could walk around telling you that, but if I don't feel it and I don't share that with my own family at home and I don't tell my friends about it, then I'm not bought in. So it's a question for myself. What is the culture? What does it feel like? Man, it's family. That's what it feels like. Because truth be told, everybody has days where they're what we call character building days. And on those worst days, you have to remind yourself why I'm here, where am I at, and ultimately, where am I going? And if you don't know that, you feel like you're alone. And at Valuetainment, you're never alone because we're always here to lend a helping hand. That is the culture here at Valuetainment.
You said family staff meetings, that's a phrase you don't hear in big corporations. That's incredible. So every employee has 6, basically overall 6 tips that they announce during these meetings. And what I want to ask you is, I mean, you have all that support, that incredible environment you're working with. So to your clients, how do you unlock them? How do you unlock their potential when they're asking for advice? Like, I have this venture, I'm working hard on it. I've gone through the very hard tasks of trying to find, venture capital and kickstart this, but I am stuck. How do you unlock them?
Absolutely. Not everybody is meant to have a conversation with Patrick. I am on his team here to really make sure before anybody gets to Patrick, they're the right fit, they're coachable, and they're really here because they know exactly what they're missing or what they want. What is that thing that they're trying to attract? Maybe it's a conversation about hiring a C-suite. Maybe it's a crucial conversation between a founder and a number 2. Whatever it might be, that's the person who ultimately is right to get in front of Patrick. Someone who knows who Patrick is and how. For example, I'll back it up and say it this way. As much as Patrick is a business gentleman, world renowned for that, he's a family guy. And in order for someone to really understand how he operates, for someone to really come in for consulting, you have to understand who he is, and even if you're the right fit. And if you're the right fit, it's something where entrepreneurs will take time out of their day to process areas of concern and areas of opportunity to help scale and grow their company.
And Now that you mentioned the company, another question I have is, how hard is it for big companies to innovate? So you're in a company that's very entrepreneurial, and they have put out this family mindset, connecting people and making them intra/entrepreneurs. But how can a big corporation innovate? They say that big corporations don't innovate anymore. That's a lost cause. What's the culture of innovation in the company?
It depends on, that's a really good question.
It
And it
is.
depends on what stage that company's at, or the stage of
Yeah.
where the founders, the leadership is at. There's many people, we like to say the stubborn mindset. Hey, if
Mhm.
it's not broken, don't fix it. For example, a 40 to 60-year-old company, you know, what we did before, it's what we're going to continue to do because we've done it before, right? We've all heard this before,
Mhm.
and many companies to implement new ideas or new fixes with a company that's multi, the amount of employees in the multiple three digits, it's hard to make that change. Or I put hard in quotes because it just depends on where the leadership's mind is at and who wants to implement that new change. So I could say here at Valuetainment, we're a startup. Guess what? We're almost pushing 100 employees. I probably by the time this video is aired, we'll be at 100 employees within no time. And the amazing part about us as a startup, we can make those changes. We move at the speed of instruction. We move because we know what's right. We know where the long-term vision is. Patrick says, guys, we're going to build the largest media company in the world, the most respected consulting divisions that the world has ever seen. And for him to make that statement, he needs to back it up. And it starts from the core and it starts from the
Mhm.
individual. Patrick can say it, but if I can say it and I can feel it, that's what counts and that's what matters. But to answer your question specifically, I put hard in quotes for large corporations to make that decision. It all depends on the leadership. It all depends on where they want to go. Hey, if it's worked before, why not keep going? But that's when you develop a culture it's distant from leadership because you have new innovation and you have stubborn.
Mhm.
Where's the connection? Sometimes you can't find it.
Absolutely. And it's also the fact that people, okay, it's a consultancy, okay, and people are asking for said product to have innovation within it for just the sake of it. I believe that companies, you can correct me on this, they have two faces. They have the corporate face and they have the face that they have to market, okay? People have to see something and people want like constant change. Even if something is not broken after a week, they are tired of it and they want something better, but they don't consider the quality of it. And I'm sure that you're focusing on quality and not on just, a marketing ad, just for people to see, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the biggest things, and I'm so happy to say this, be involved in a story of an entrepreneur just like Patrick.
Hmm.
Patrick does not do any of this for the money. He's sold the insurance company. Life is good. Family is great. Everybody's healthy. What he does and why what he's sharing, videos started with 2 minutes with Pat, all the way to the podcast, all the way to daily check-ins with Patrick on YouTube. Why is he doing all this? Why is Valuetainment the company it is structured to be? Well, it's because all can agree there's a spiritual warfare. There's a warfare out there that's greater than ours. We just need people that are on the same page, two, ready to have their plan of action readily available and ready to take initiative. Surround yourself by greater people because guess what? I'm okay where I'm at. This is Patrick. Where I want to go is totally fine. I don't need your money. I don't do this for the money. You want the counsel? Then show me where's your skin in the game. I'll show it to you. We have what's called an elite mastermind, very, very high level processing mastermind with entrepreneurs around the world that are very serious about scaling and growing. Not everybody, you can give them money. It's not like you can make the cut. It's very specific. The qualities that Patrick does look for is something that's very specific to what he looks for in someone who wants mentorship. For example, Patrick says, listen, if you don't want to take my counsel, guess what? You don't need to be on these calls. I don't do this for the money. I do this to help you. If you don't move at the speed of instruction or it's not the counsel you're looking for, no problem. There's other people out there that can utilize this. It's not a worry at all. Maybe next time or in a couple of years, we can revisit this conversation.
It's incredibly important that you are saying this because most people are, okay, they have to watch interviews like this to understand what valuetainment stands for. Because if I go with the authority that I don't have and say to other people that Patrick or Antonio or anyone who's working for valuetainment don't care about the money, they will laugh at my face. But when someone like you has intimate knowledge of the curriculum and exactly what you're doing, they will believe you. They have no reason to think that you're coming with an agenda. There is no reason for you to do that.
Yeah, sometimes it's a shock
Yeah.
because to be honest,
Yeah. Yes.
that's what's in the marketplace. That's what people out there for the money grabs. They're out there because, hey, I'm the new consultant. I'm gonna go help you with your business, but I'm just another guru
Yes.
online.
Yes. Yes.
Patrick
Yes.
is known when Patrick says something, he delivers. It's a matter of time. The first video that Patrick filmed was November 9th, 2012. We're on a mission. The rocket ship has taken off. Now, whoever wants to be a part of it is trying to climb on the side of the rocket. It just depends on where you want to be. But Patrick, when he says something, he executes. And if you can't tell, I'm going to jump through this camera. That's how excited I am to be a part of this opportunity.
I remember vividly you told me last time that Patrick is not in for the money. And even I was flabbergasted. I was like, there's no way he's putting in so much work. There is no, okay, spiritually, and I understand it. There's things which fill our hearts. We're not doing this for the money. There is no way he's not in for some amount of money. But it's true, and it's incredible. Because as you said, and it's nice that we are destroying this narrative, people are watching consultants and they think they are con artists. But you have to talk to one of them, okay, to understand exactly what they stand for, and then you can make your own conclusions. So it's incredible that we're pulling the veil over that kind of information. And my final question, Antonio, has to do with responsibility of employees. So everyone who's working in a company, doesn't matter if it's big or small, they want an incentive, okay? They want to have increased responsibility to keep giving back to the company. If Patrick doesn't give back to you or anybody else, there is no incentive for you to stay, is it? So how do you gain that, especially in a startup company like Valuetainment?
So, really good question. And many people, I'll give an example. There are many leaders, many individuals that started with Patrick's insurance company, 66 agents when Patrick sold the company, just around 40,000 before the sale. He cultivated an amazing insurance company. His name pops up just because of what he's built and where the company's headed. But I'll share one thing. There are many individuals, and I'll be as vague in sharing these details. Many people, when you start insurance, it's not easy. It's not easy. You could be making pennies on the dollar and turn out maybe the first year in business, maybe you made less than a full day of minimum wage at working at a fast food restaurant in 1 year. But guess what? A person like that, if you stick through, you're one of you could become a founder of the company. You could be making, one of the highest earners in that company. That's a true story. That's a true story. It just depends on it leads me back to when I started this off here. It's long-term thinking. It's hard in the moment. Some people don't feel like it's necessary, or they don't see the vision because they don't know where they're headed. If you have a business plan, you know where you're headed, and you know really what your why is. It's not always going to be crystal clear, but each and every day you're fighting a path to say, you know what? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It really reminds me what exactly I started this path or this journey for.
I mean,
So
yeah,
it's long-term thinking, like I mentioned.
yeah, yeah. Small successes accumulate, and then you thrive. One day, okay, you can be working for 10 years, and then 10th year, in one day, something happens, okay?
I'll read you
Success
this.
happens.
I'll read you this right here. We just read Atomic Habits. I was just mentioning to you. This is my book report.
Yeah.
Atomic Habits. They're small habits, and small habits are built for large change. It's one of my
Yes.
takeaways I just highlighted right here. It's funny enough that we're talking about this. It's also what I'm reading, so it's new knowledge. So absolutely.
I mean, I love analogies and I love quotes. I think they have sincere impact. So thank you for that. It's a lot of phrases from our interview that I will be holding on to for the next years, to be honest. Okay, it's incredibly insightful. Because as the people who are going to watch this, I was very curious about the company you're representing. I was very curious of who you were also as an individual. What kind of person can work for a company like Valuetainment? Because there's no intimate relationship with people like you unless somebody knows who you are. Because it wasn't like I knew exactly who to approach. I just sent a message on LinkedIn and you replied. Maybe in 10 years from now, you're not going to be as approachable as you are now because of increased responsibility. So how does the future look like for you?
Oh, I like Patrick says it the best. The future looks bright, and it truly is. It's when I came. I'm going on 2 years with Patrick. 2 years at
Yeah.
Valuetainment, and from the very beginning, it's like, why do I want to make this transition from an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur? And it soon became very clear to me because guess what? The resources, the opportunity, the self-development, the approach in general are far greater being with someone who has, first of all, done it before. Patrick, he's known as a trifecta: theory, witness, and application. For me and myself as an entrepreneur, and I share this with many entrepreneurs that are getting started out in the field, it's the law of the lid. You know as much as this. Yeah, you could do some self-development, the lid slowly increases, or it increases as fast as you want it to. But if I know if I put myself in a high pressure environment, I'm in the room with an individual that's world renowned, almost the number one podcast for YouTube and entrepreneurs around the world, number one YouTube channel for entrepreneurs. Opportunity for growth is right at my fingertips, and it depends on what I want to do with it. So for me, how bright is the future? Anything is possible. I'll tell you that. We have a lot of amazing, amazing things in store, and that comes directly from Patrick. Patrick, he's going to shock the world. I'm telling you.
Like sounds like a beacon of light. You have it next to you, so it pushes you every single day. I just wish like more companies were like this. Not just entrepreneur based companies and consultancies, technical companies, manufacturing, engineering, everything. Everything should be like this. Of course, I'm not the one who's going to be placed in a position to make these kind of decisions, but there's no way they would have anything to lose out of this kind of setup. So Antonio, that's a perfect way to sum this up, I believe. I want to sincerely thank you for your time and effort to redo this.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for jumping back on here with me, and we'll talk here in a few. I appreciate your time.